Well, thank you, Mr. Seville, and again, on behalf of all of us with the University of Louisiana system, we welcome you here this afternoon. Part of our process in our search procedures in selecting a president is to do a public input session, and that's the very reason we're here today. But if you will allow me just a moment, I'll talk to you about the overall process of what's going to occur not only today, but what has been done and what will be done in the next few weeks. Of course, as Mr. Seville mentioned earlier, our search committee met this morning to fine-tune a few of our procedural steps and timeline. This was a follow-up meeting to the first organizational meeting that was held briefly in Baton Rouge on January the 29th. The work of the committee in a final step is to select at least 2 candidates to submit to the full Board of Supervisors for their consideration as president. Now that sounds like an easy task, but there's a lot of work and a lot of issues that will occur before we reach that date. First of all, your input this afternoon, coupled with the preliminary work that the committee's done, will help us fine-tune our thoughts about the qualifications and expectations for the next president of Grambling. We will use your information to put together a list of desirable characteristics as we search for that next president. We will release a formal advertisement after our next meeting, which will be February 25 or 26 in Baton Rouge, scheduled around our regular board meeting. At that time, the advertisement will go into several national publications, Chronicle for Higher Education, Issues in Higher Education, among others. It'll be publicized in state and area papers. And we will finalize in the next month an agreement with a national search firm that will also assist us in identifying prospective candidates for this position. So there's a lot of work that will occur in the next few weeks. Then the advertisement will be released, and there will be a period of about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, where we will begin to receive applications and interest from prospective candidates. We will be communicating with them about Grambling, its history, the challenges that we all face in higher education in Louisiana now, resources, but all the positive opportunities that go along with being the president of Grambling State. That information and exchange will help us, along with reference checks, background checks on potential candidates, to identify a group of individuals that we would call semifinalists that we will interview. Those interviews will be conducted here at Grambling State University. We don't have a set number. Normally, I would recommend to the committee that we try to narrow that down to about 5 people. Depending on the number of applicants that we have, it could be a little more, it could be a little less. But the most important thing is that when those interviews are conducted, they will be here over about a week period. Each candidate will come to the campus. They will have their own time with the Grambling community. They will be interviewed by this committee in public, and there will be an opportunity in that interview session for members of the public to ask the candidates questions. They will also meet with students. They will meet with faculty and faculty leadership. They will meet with the vice presidents and deans and a group of community people. We will have a way worked out within those various groups that someone will tally or summarize the feedback from those committees or those individuals or groups, so that that also becomes part of the process for this search committee to use not only the interviews but the feedback from other persons talking with the candidates. At the conclusion of that, if everything stays on process as we hope it will, at least 2 names will then go to the Board of Supervisors. Our tentative timeline is to do those interviews in April, probably around mid-April, and to have names available to submit to the board in May for consideration at our June board meeting. Now, I would remind all of you, you've been involved in activities, class projects, community work, etc. You have a time frame, and oftentimes you have to deviate from that. So we're not bound by that. If it takes us a little bit longer, it will. If we can move a little more quickly, we will. But your input this afternoon is very important for us as we make some decisions about the kind of person and the kind of experiences and background that we're looking for in the next president. Now, with that said, we're going to move into what we call the public input session, and that's why most of you are here. I thought you came to see us, but I really don't believe that's true. This will be a session where you will do the talking. It's not a dialogue. where you will ask us questions and we will respond to that. So you're going to look at us for the next while with blank faces and no comments. Dr. O'Hara, who's seated right over here, is going to conduct this session, and he will give you some operating guidelines in just a moment. We all know that weather is an issue, and we want to move you in and out in a timely fashion, but we want everyone to have an opportunity to speak. So we're going to need your cooperation both in terms of the length of your message and, more importantly, how we'll do the process so we can keep it sequentially going in a timely fashion. With that, thank you again for coming. It's a testimony to how important Grambling is to everyone here in the Grambling community and Grambling across the world. I would say that my perspective is that we have 8 very, very good universities in the University of Louisiana system, but we probably don't have a university in this system that is more widely known, not only in Louisiana, but across this country and across the world, than Grambling State University. So your input is very, very important to us. Dr. O'Hara.
Thank you, Dr. Moffitt, and my good afternoon to all. We have a very simple process that we're going to employ this afternoon to engage you in this process. We want to hear your thoughts about important qualifications and priorities for our next president. Individuals who are interested in addressing the committee should complete a yellow request to speak card. We have several student assistants helping us this afternoon who are stationed in the aisles. They all have request to speak cards. Please complete that card with your name and your association to the university. Those cards will be turned into us here at the table. We'll call you down one by one to address the committee. You'll have 3 minutes to make your points to the committee. With 30 seconds remaining, I'll hold up a yellow 30 seconds card. And once your time has expired, I'll hold up a red card. We would hope that you would conclude by that time, and if necessary, I will call time. I'm actually going to call people down 2 at a time. I'll call speaker number 1 down and mention who speaker number 2 would be, and we'd like that following speaker, that trailing speaker, to either position themselves at the other microphone or close to the microphone where the first speaker is talking to the group, so we can move this process along.